special guest, Julio.
I want to meet that guy. Who's that guy? Bueno, buenas noches. My name is Julio. I am glad all of you guys are here today. I see a lot of people all dressed up. People came all the way from Apopka. People came from next door. So thank you very much. Allow me to start by asking a question. Who here has not had to face a challenge or an obstacle in your career to be successful? Who has not?
You mean
Like
many of them today.
Okay, so I'm in the right room. I'm in the right room. I wanna ask you guys this. If you had a speech impediment, would you get into the business of speaking?
It will depend if you want to challenge yourself.
There you go.
I love that.
Yeah.
So today, just like every other day when I wake up, I still feel the cold gust of wind when we turn left out of the building when we walk to school in New York. I was in the 5th grade. Everybody went to 5th grade here, right? So I went to 5th grade, and we were in the month of September, and we were going to do a speech, or we had to do some work on Columbus Day. Back then, we celebrated Columbus Day, 1986, 1988. Everything in this presentation has a reason. So I'm a stutterer. I've stuttered since I was born. Going to school that day, I still remember because that was the day when I was going to tell my teacher, my 5th grade teacher, that I wanted to give a speech. And I wanted to memorize it because I had seen Bill Clinton give a speech. And I wanted to give it in front of the class. Now, she had been my teacher from 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade, so she knew me well. And all she said was like, I think you're going to do a great job. I was scared. I felt stupid. I felt inadequate as a 5-year-old. But I wrote my speech, and walking in when the cold wind is hitting you, I started leaning into it to walk to school. 10 New York blocks. If you lived in New York, you know New York blocks are long. So when I started giving that speech, I started to sweat just like I'm doing now. Right now, I can tell you I can smell my classroom, stuffy classroom in New York. I can even smell by half of the speech, I'm going to smell the metal stairs of that elementary school in CS 66. It's PTSD. I used to get bullied. I used to get made fun of. So I didn't speak much until that speech. That's when I fell in love with public speaking. Fast forward in your life. Now I'm going to college. 18 years old, still sweating at 43, as you can see. It has not left me. Everybody signed up for college if you went to college, and one of the first courses is Speech 101. So I got to school early in that August. It was moist, it wasn't cold, it was Florida, in Sanford, Seminole Community College at the time. I still remember walking to the classroom, going down the stairs in the building. It was dark. There was this heavy door, room 201. It was in the first floor, but I don't know why I said room 201. Opened the door, and there was a professor, it's not a teacher anymore, in the back of the room that said, "Hey, are you in the right room?" I didn't respond because I was stuttering my answer. She got closer and said, "Are you here for Speech 101? And I said, "Yes," because I don't stutter when I said yes. And she said, "Well, you're in the right room, but I think you made the right choice." She was trying to be funny. I was getting more anxious because I was scared. I felt dumb, stupid. Why would you go to college? Why would you take Speech 101 when you know you can't speak properly? But I did it anyway. She started going over the syllabus as my anxiety increased. started eating my nails. I still remember. And I had to give 10 speeches. No speech the first week, no speech the last week. But you had 10 speeches, and you got to pass 77 of them with a 70. So that was my goal. And I'm still sweating. And it's cold, but I sweat because I'm like in my 5th grade classroom right now. One sentence, one paragraph, one speech at a time. Lean into it and get a passing grade. To make the story short, I aced the class. I don't know how, but one sentence, one paragraph, one speech at a time. Graduated, finished a 4-year degree in 7 years. Worked nights, had a family, the Hispanic experience, but the stuttering one. I stutter, I'm a fully stutter in Spanish and English. I think I'm the only stutterer that's bilingual around here. And I'm proud of it, because every time I say it, you know what happens, aside from sweating, I get everybody's attention. Everybody's looking at me now. Everybody's waiting for that moment when the stutter is going to come. And hopefully it does, so you can believe me. Graduated college, got married, had a couple of kids, and I started feeling more inadequate. As you know, English is my second language. I started hearing P&Ls, balance sheets, profit and loss statements, payback periods. I don't know what that meant. I know I needed to get educated. So I already got a bachelor's degree. Now I got to get a master's degree. And obviously those terms were business terms. I went back to 5th grade. I went back to an 18-year-old. Now I was an adult that stuttered, didn't know what my coworkers know, so now I'm really feeling ignorant and stupid. I got out of my bachelor's degree with a 2.0. Okay? I graduated enough with a 2.0. Who's going to take me? But I had done some work in the community, in the political world. And when I applied to the school, they waived my GMAT. So I had to go to school, but I still didn't feel confident enough to go to school because those guys were smart. They could speak properly. I couldn't because I couldn't. So I went back to what I had learned when I was in 5th grade and an 18-year-old going to college for the first time. You first acknowledge your flaw. When I was in 5th grade, I had not actually realized I stutter. And I got to be proud of it. Because even though I stutter, I was the only kid out of 46 students in 5th grade on CS 66 who stood up, memorized the speech, and finished it. So I had acknowledged who I was. I owned my flaw. Then I looked for support. My teacher said I was going to do a great job. I believed her. My professor, one sentence, one paragraph, one speech at a time. But now I was a 33-year-old stutterer who sold life insurance and wanted to go get an MBA. I need a support group. Obviously, the school doesn't know me. Where do I go? I was lucky enough to find the National Society of Hispanic MBAs. A friend of mine said, go to this organization, you should be a member. I went to the National Society of Hispanic MBAs, and what did I do? I became a member. But I always used to tell these guys, man, you guys are so smart. You guys are so capable. You got an MBA. And I still remember Eric and Rafi from Tampa, chapters in different cities, said to me, it's one class at a time, dude. And he triggered me. Oh, I can do this. I acknowledged my flaw. I found my support group now. Now it was time for me to go to work because these guys were telling me I could do it. Now, the worst part at the beginning of this is it wasn't that I felt stupid. I really thought I was stupid because I didn't know those terms. I felt incapable because I couldn't deliver the presentation at the time properly. But most importantly, I felt alone because it's a lonely place to be a stutterer that wants to do something that's afraid, and he, myself, was afraid of doing it. But these guys believed in me, so why not? I gave it a shot. Long story short, I graduated. But now I decided to owe my life to this organization. And I volunteer for them. In 14 years of volunteering for this organization, and as you notice, fixing my speech impediment, I learned how to cope with it. I became the national chairman of this organization. 36,000 members, 46 chapters around the nation, and I was the leader. The stutterer was the leader. Throughout my experience in 5th grade, 18-year-old speech 101, and going to my MBA, I knew one thing. At the beginning, I felt inadequate. I found my support group. And at the end of it, when I was in 5th grade, I had acknowledged my flaw. You got to be proud to be a stutterer. And there's a whole bunch of us out there. I can spot them all the time. And I approach them. And they feel safe talking to me about it. When I was 18-year-old and I passed that class with an A, the only one that got an A that had a speech impediment, I felt like breaking the glass ceiling. I felt like it was water bursting through that glass. Triumphant. But I didn't know I had another 40, 50 years ahead of me. Only that class mattered at the time. When I graduated with my MBA and the National Society of Hispanic MBA said, come be a leader with us. We will coach you and train you. I felt like I had achieved something, but now I wanted to give it back. And it took 11 years for me to write my story and stand here and be able to tell you that I am a stutterer. That when I drive home and when I drove here and when I drive tomorrow and the next day, in the rearview mirror, I will see the stuttering in the back. And as you know, in the mirror it says, objects may seem closer than what they seem. So they're right there. But now I know that I can adjust with my side view mirrors, but the main focus is my windshield, the future. If I had not linked to the future, I would not be here today speaking with you. So, if you take anything from tonight, if you have a flaw, it could be a speech impediment. It could be that you don't know how to do something. It could be that you need a mentor. It could be that you need a coach and create a nonprofit that change people's lives. And I'm glad you came, Debbie. Look into yourself. Acknowledge your flaw. Regardless if you sweat when you remember being in 5th grade in CS 66. Find your support group. Here you have the Hispanic Chamber. I can tell you when this leads group started in 2006, 2007. That create money for you for free. We all should do business with one another today. This is your support group. And then when you achieve success that's overcoming your flaw, you send the cargo elevator down so all the stutterers can jump in and go to the top floor and enjoy the party. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Julio Rocha. I share a very personal story with effects that come by nature because of what I've lived in my life. I hope you take this experience and grow from it and make 2022 the best financial year you can find. Thank you very much.
Fearless. Love it.
Questions?
Say again?
I'm going to take questions. Anybody has questions?
Yeah.
Any questions? I'll take them.
What do you think what's your big obstacle and how you handle it? How you overcome?
When you stop caring about what other people say about you, everything goes away. God was the first one. With God, you don't have anything. I have a good friend, I call him God, that opens doors for me every time I want. And he does it. He does it consistently. I stutter all the time, but I did hire a speech therapist. And today, as you can see, I probably won't stutter because I'm on stage. That's why I worked for Disney for 5 years, to get into the stage and character and performer mentality. But when I get home, trust me, it's like a machine gun. Go ahead.
So when you're getting on stage, what type of preparation you do in your mind?
Well, Jackie got to see it. You just zone out. You just stay into one spot and you go over that speech again and again and again. But most importantly, you realize what you're going to go through. Like, I'm going to sweat like I worked out like an animal today. And I'm going to continue sweating. I don't know if you guys noticed. He just comes out and out and out because it's the anxiety of being in that room, being stared by 46 kids that used to make fun of you the whole entire 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade until you deliver that speech and you earned their respect because they didn't do it.
Awesome.
Thank you. There you go. I guess I buy out on this one.
Thank you so much.
Nah, not a problem. My pleasure.